Hello, good evening, and welcome to Diaspora Digital Media, DDM Television this afternoon. My name is Daniel Elombah, hosting this celebrity interview with our guest today, Mr. Emeka Ugwuonye, Esquire. Mr. Ugwuonye, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Ugwuonye is have been described as a man who has committed his life to fighting for justice. He's a lawyer, and an LLB from the University of Benin Law Faculty in Nigeria, and then Bachelor of Law from the Nigerian Law School in Lagos. He began his career working for two of the gas companies in Nigeria, Texaco and Chevron, where he served as intern counsel in their general office. And thereafter, Mr. Ugwuonye, I understand, is also a graduate of Harvard University in the United States. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes, and in Harvard, you've served for. Can you just give us a brief overview?
Yes, when
a bit of your legal practice.
That's correct. After graduating from Harvard in 1994, my first job was to teach at Harvard and to work as a policy advisor to Harvard Institute for International Development. After a couple of years there, I joined the World Bank Legal Department, where I worked under the Office of the General Counsel. I worked there until that was from 1997 to 2000. 2000, I was a consultant to the African Development Bank in Abidjan then until they had a military takeover of government who entered the waiting room admit.
No, that's fine. Okay. Just ignore. Just ignore anything you see. Just concentrate on the interview. Please.
Okay, very well. So I returned to the United States after the political upheaval in Abidjan and established my practice of law, which was initially commenced in New York to Washington and Maryland. I practiced for many years. I represented very high-profile cases involving Nigerians, including the case of Abdulsalami Abubakar and the Abiola family, which lasted 7 years in the United States and went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. I was the principal counsel in that case. I also represented the Nigerian government, the Nigerian Airways, the Ministry of Aviation, and the host of all the Nigerian parties in a class action lawsuit in New York, which we won. And I represented Nigerian embassy as well, all as clients. I was never a staff of the embassy. Then we had a disagreement with the embassy, a fee dispute, which got awry, and triggered crisis with Nigerian government. I got detained by the EFCC and prosecuted for 10 years. I won all my cases, for the record. But in the course of my encounter with the EFCC, I understood the challenging problem Nigeria has with due process of the law. I saw that majority of the people in Nigeria facing the criminal justice did not have access to adequate legal representation. It was in the course of that experience that the idea of DPA came to mind, and DPA stands for Due Process Advocates.
So you've told us already what the Due Process Advocate stands for. So, but what services does it actually provide to Nigerians?
It is a wide range of services. First, we start with education, legal education, because we believe that for people to enjoy their rights, they must first know what those rights are. So education, legal education for the masses is a fundamental function of DPA. Then it has other services, such as legal referral. Legal referral in the sense of our members. By the way, our organization is membership-based. We are not available to the general public. Only those who have subscribed to membership in our organization will be entitled to our benefits. And one of the benefits they get is that when they have a legal problem, they approach DPA. They present their problem, we analyze their problem, we identify their location, we identify the lawyer most competent and capable in the area of their problem. We discuss with the lawyers, we discuss terms of representation and fee. because majority of the people have no access to lawyers due to the fact that they don't have money. So being able to get a lawyer, assured that his fees will be paid, is a fundamental thing DPA does for its members. Many lawyers will not take on a client because one, they're afraid that the client will not be able to pay the money. But having DPA come in to guarantee that payment will be done encourages these lawyers to provide services in circumstances where they would have otherwise declined. Also, when we engage a lawyer on behalf of our member, we maintain a tripartite communication system where the member authorizes us to speak with the lawyer, to monitor development, to help him, and to sometimes communicate with the lawyer. So that triangular relationship helps our client. He's now able to deal with a lawyer he might never have known in his life before. But based on the fact that he trusts DPA, and DPA is intermediating between him and the lawyer. And when we see a competent lawyer in Nigeria who can handle our cases for our members, we do everything to support that lawyer. Some of the Nigerian lawyers don't even have modern computers, don't even have modern telephone, don't even have printers, don't even have basic facilities for effective legal practice or legal representation, as we know in Europe and America. But with the involvement of DPA, we provide these lawyers every amenity they need to be able to attend to our members. So that is it. But DPA has other functions that are important. Advocacy. We take up public issues, engage in discussion, create awareness, get people to understand, and sometimes mobilize action. So to function, also DPA has a alternative dispute resolution system whereby we build centers where members could come to mediate and resolve and settle their disputes. DPA also has a program we call DPA Innocence Project. Anybody who is facing criminal justice in Nigeria, especially in capital offenses, who does not have adequate representation can always approach DPA. I just finished discussing a case of a man who has been in Kuje prison for 7 years without law. He's been there longer than 7 years. I mentioned 7 years because I met him in Kuje when I was remanded in Kuje. This man, his case is so porous, there is no strong evidence, and for years he had gone without his case being assigned to any lawyer because any judge, because the initial judge had retired. Somebody is sitting in prison doing nothing, not going to court for years. So yesterday, when I heard about Chris Garba's case, and I asked, is Chris Garba still in Kuje prison? They said yes. I said, what is he doing there? So I said, all right, DPA is going to take over his case under our Innocence Project. We're going to get in there, find out why he's there, find out why he's not going for trial, get a competent lawyer in Abuja to take over that case, push it to resolution. That is what the Innocence Project is. The other day, we heard about the case of a man in Kirikiri prison. He has been condemned and sentenced to death. His family explained to us they didn't have money to hire a lawyer. The lawyer they hired was not effective because the lawyer didn't even show up on the day of judgment. So now he's being sentenced to death. Who is going to advocate for him in the absence when he has no money? DPA comes in. Elombah, I want to tell you that 90% of Nigerian citizens have no access to adequate legal representation. The Bar Association is doing something, but the Bar Association cannot do all of it. We do have interventions, like in the case of Emerson, the woman that had a problem with Edoh, where the Bar Association stepped in. The Bar Association stepped in because the case attracted attention. But the fact is that there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of Nigerians facing injustices in Nigeria. The Bar Association cannot do anything there. They can't get it there. They're not even aware of it. So we need organizations like DPA. DPA was born out of my own experience. I was held by EFCC, detained. I saw people being arrested, being interrogated, being charged to court, and yet these people had never had the opportunity of speaking to a lawyer, in clear contradiction of the provision of Nigerian Constitution that gave rise to DPA. So this is a summary of what DPA does, okay? But there are more things we do. We have a program that deals with domestic violence, where we help victims of domestic violence. Indeed, as I speak to you now, DPA is working on establishing a shelter in Nigeria. We want to build a shelter for victims of domestic violence. So when a woman is beaten and thrown out of her house, She has a place to get with her children, stay a night there, so that DPA can now mobilize lawyers to intervene and seek relief, just the way we do in Maryland and other parts of the world. I'm trying to put in Nigeria systems that I am familiar with. There's no way a woman could be thrown out of the house and she's in the street with the children stranded. Nothing happens. Here in America, it takes 5 minutes for the police to report to domestic violence situation. It takes less than 24 hours for the courts to intervene and establish support for the children. In Nigeria, there's no such thing unless we set up these shelters. And when the shelters work, the woman, if she's a member of DPA, contacts us, we send a vehicle to get her, take her to the shelter. When she gets to the shelter, the next morning, a doctor appointed by us will come and see her and see the children to make sure there are no diseases that could infect other inmates in the shelter. Also, the next morning, lawyers are in court. The same morning, counselor, children's counselor will be at the center to interview the children, to know how they are doing, to find out their school, and go to the headmaster of the school and say, hey, these children are your students. They can't come to school because they're having some family challenges today. However, we want to speak to the teacher. We want to take their homework to them every day. That's what we want to do. It is happening here in America. Why can't it happen in Nigeria? I have the knowledge. I have the experience. These are basic things. So DPA is doing that. We also have a program for landlord-tenant matters. Landlords, tenants are evicted in all kinds of ways. Some tenants abuse their rights. DPA has established a process under our landlord-tenant center to help them.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So from your explanation now, DPA obviously is not a law firm, is it?
No. Absolutely not. The law firm does something much, much smaller than the objective of DPA. Law firm has a lawyer representing an individual in a case. DPA doesn't work for an individual. We work for a group. I want you to see our work at system level operation. We are looking at the legal system, broadening access to legal system, making it easy for people to get justice. So when a law firm is needed, when a lawyer is needed in a case, DPA will identify a lawyer suitable. We have lawyers. There are two types of lawyers we have. We have lawyers that we pay retainer constantly, monthly. We agreed with them and said, this is what we pay you a month on the condition that will be available to handle DPA members' cases. Some lawyers do so. Those ones are getting constant cases almost every day. Then there are lawyers in remote locations where we don't have offices. Those lawyers that are not on a fixed retainer. What happens is when we assign a case to them, we will discuss terms and we will pay them and they will handle the matter. That's what DPA does. And we help them in every other way they need. Some of these lawyers are very smart, but they don't have resources. He's a solo practitioner, an individual sitting in one corner. He cannot do a whole lot of things. DPA has the capacity to also help that lawyer research the law, research the pleading, review make him competent and capable. DPA also has the capacity of linking that solo practitioner in Akwebom with other DPA lawyers anywhere in the country to assist and support him. That's what we do. Yeah.
Very well. So one can clearly see the distinction, the difference between DPA and an ordinary law firm. But let's progress the conversation because much attention has been drawn to your law license. But you claim that this focus on your law license is a distraction. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. Daniel, you know, I became a lawyer in 1992. That was 33 years ago. And since then, I have been actively involved in law in various aspects. As a law teacher, as a corporate counsel for an international organization, World Bank in Washington, and other organizations, and as a legal practitioner in various jurisdictions for many years. When I had a problem with Nigerian government, it was one of the most shocking experiences in my life. I was detained in Nigeria in what would have been extremely unusual. A lawyer represented a country, Nigeria, visited the country and got detained. But I represented other countries, Ghana and those. Could they have detained me if I visited? So Elombah was very familiar with this dispute. I was detained. When you detain a lawyer for 5 months, a lawyer in America, you destroy everything. We pay rents on monthly basis. We pay salaries on monthly basis. Clients were affected. It completely affected my law practice. But I decided to fight Nigeria. I decided to challenge it. I could have let it go, forget it, but the way I was treated was so bad that I decided to confront. So I stayed in Nigeria. I increased my presence in Nigeria, and I began to help people facing similar challenges. So my practice was affected. I knew I had to shift. I had to shift from the regular practice to something more systemic, more in the direction of DPA that enabled me to operate anywhere in the world. While I was in Nigeria, they started a complaint against me in Nigeria, a bad complaint. As I speak to you today, in the case the Nigerian Bar Association had against me, there was no complainant beyond the letter written by somebody. The complainant never appeared. Complainant never swore an oath, never swore any documents on a affidavit, never put in a witness statement of claim. It was actually what I would have considered an impossible claim. I went to the hearing so sure that it would be thrown out because there was no complainant. Surprisingly, I don't want to go into details. Surprisingly, the legal practitioners disciplinary committee ruled against me. I was shocked. I went immediately on appeal. And you know, in Nigeria, if you go on appeal against the decision, no, not even a decision, it's called direction, against the direction of LPDC, it means that LPDC cannot in itself be a judgment. It stays statutorily that an appeal against LPDC automatically suspends the application of LPDC direction. So I had no doubt. In fact, when I even spoke to the prosecutor in the LPDC, he wasn't there when the decision was given. I called him. I said, "Can you believe what happened? That they ruled against me?" He said he was shocked. Then he said to me, "But don't worry, just put on your appeal and continue your practice." I put on my appeal. So that was supposed to be it. Surprisingly, a letter was issued by one Gertrude, an official of the Supreme Court, saying that there was no appeal. Therefore, that my name was struck off. So how can there's appeal there? I had the appeal number. They saw it. In fact, I suspected there was going to be a foul play. You know how the appeal is done in the battle. The appeal is not, you don't go to the Supreme Court appeal. You appeal. You appeal at the body of benchers office. It is the body of benchers that will take the record and take it to the Supreme Court. So I was afraid that maybe somebody in the body of benchers working against me would not submit my appeal. So I went to the Supreme Court and said, "Can I confirm that an appeal had been filed?" They said, "Yes, it has been filed." I said, "Can I get a copy?" They gave me a copy of the record. One man who gave me that copy was somebody I met at the office of record. That's their office. So this woman who wrote a letter that there was no appeal was, I couldn't take it. I wrote that this was false, there was appeal. Do you know that the woman at the Supreme Court got that man arrested? The man that made a photocopy used the police to arrest him and claimed all kind of nonsense. So I knew there were forces against me within the system. I was determined to fight it. But you know what happened? Then they charged me. The police charged me because of my fight with the police. I got remanded in jail. When you get remanded away for so long, you can't fight these things. Things accumulate. So when I came out of, by the way, while I was there were events developing here in the United States. And in the US, there are many, many things that can happen to a lawyer. In the US, law license is not a title, it's not a prestige as it is in Nigeria. Law license is more or less like a business permit. For you to do this sort of business, you have this. If you are not available to do it, that license could be taken away. They took it away knowing you can reinstate it. They don't see it as a life-ending event. And by the way, if you tell them, oh, the reason I could not respond is because I'm detained in Nigeria, that doesn't help you, because that's a confirmation that you're not available to practice here. If you're not available to practice here, why are we wasting time? We can take you off the list, and when you come back, you'll sort it out. It is the way it is. But Nigerians place stigma to everything. So I knew that if I wanted, oh, by the way, on the Nigerian front, I didn't really care. At my level and my role in legal education, having a license or not having a license is really not the issue. Daniel, to tell you the truth, I don't want to wake up every morning by 6 a.m., running around, dressing up, getting ready, rushing to court, having hypertension as I'm going through traffic just to get to court. I don't want to do that. I'm 58 years old. I am more than 30 years in the bar. I am comfortable doing other things. I'm comfortable helping lawyers, helping the system, helping people in my executive capacity. That is the thing. In my executive capacity, that's what I do. Thank God I have the technical competence to be able to evaluate who is a good lawyer and who is not a good lawyer. I said this because, let me tell you something. A church, an organization, an NGO can actually hire lawyers on a fixed basis and say, I will pay you X amount if you represent our church members. It is legit. It's proper. And truly, that lawyer will be sitting there, getting paid by the church and taking cases of the church members. It is absolutely legit. The relevant license is the license of the lawyer, not license of the pastor of the church.
Yeah. All right. So basically, what you are saying is, you are licensed in Nigeria. Well, what do they call Nigerian? In your license in Nigeria, have you been restored?
No, it has not been restored, but it is in the by the way, I didn't explain to you what happened.
Okay.
So when we were on appeal, so when I came out of detention, I found that my brief was overdue. I was supposed to file my brief of argument. We went, you pay penalties for late filing. So when I came, they computed my penalties to be 7 million. Or something like that. I don't know the figure now. So 7 million. I said, wow, why pay 7 million for this? Then we said, okay, let us, yes, when we can argue, we said, okay, since our argument in the Supreme Court is for lack of fairness, that there was no fair hearing, being a fair hearing issue, that the technicality of late filing will be waived. So we proceeded to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court judge said, no. Yes, you've got a good argument, but there is the technical issue here. What do we do?
The Supreme Court process is still continuing, right?
Yes, almost. But this is the choice I made. I'll be out in 1 second, Daniel. So the Supreme Court said, no, you have to go and pay the fees and file the missing brief late. If we did that, it will cost now 15 million. 2, they would notice that the Supreme Court was giving hearing dates 8 years away from now. If we follow the Supreme Court, the hearing date is 8 years away from now. I didn't want to keep hanging on the uncertainty of it. But alternatively, if we file for reinstatement, if we try the reinstatement option, it doesn't require the payment of 15 million and it doesn't involve 8 years. So we made the decision to pursue the reinstatement process. And let me emphasize, the only reason I'm looking for that reinstatement is just that I can resist this unfortunate stigma of bad or not is bad. It's really not relevant. Even if reinstated, I will remain in DPA as the CEO of DPA. And as you know, Daniel, CEO of a company cannot practice law in court. CEO of a company cannot appear in court as a legal practitioner. That is a fact, isn't it?
In Nigeria? Yes,
in Nigeria. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. But what about your license in the United States?
Well, they are being reinstated. The reason I'm taking time on that, Daniel, is I still have a lot of I still need to spend a lot of time in Nigeria.
All right. So
In
this
the
issue, because
United
of our timing, so that we don't, there are still a lot of
Okay.
questions I need to clarify in the interest of our viewers. Over the past few months, the DPA have been representing Mary Yul-Edochie, the estranged wife of actor Yul-Edochie, for the past 3 years. Now, every Nigerian who follows the social media will have taken cognizance of the immense social media traction that your engagement with the Edochies have created. So we want to know the nature or the background of the event that transpired in the case of the Edochies that led to the rift between you and Mrs. Yul-Edochie. Can you clarify that for us?
Yes, very quickly. As I indicated, DPA is an advocacy organization as well as other things. And one of the things we have fought against is the abuse of women in marriages, especially issues of forced polygamy. So when the case of Yul-Edochie hit the social media 3 years ago, we saw a popular actor who declared himself a proud polygamist. That was an immediate threat to what DPA was about. Here we are in Nigeria working for the previous several years, advancing the rights of the women. And all of a sudden, a popular actor was a proud polygamist. We began to campaign against that. In the course of our work, advocacy work against Yul-Edochie's polygamy, Yul-Edochie became aware of DPA. So she came to our office. She came to our office for us to represent her. So we listened to her case. Initially, we were looking at the case from the point of view of advocacy, not even from the point of view of legal issue. Advocacy, plead the cause of this woman because we felt that her husband, being so popular, she could be easily overwhelmed and drowned in the confusion, in the argument. So DPA pledged to come into her case. We began to explore options for her. What did she need? Eventually, the case got into the point of litigation. And she decided to bring in another legal team, not the legal team we normally would give. She brought a very senior lawyer, a highly respected lawyer, Femi Falana. We said, well and good, go ahead. Let Falana handle your case. She said no, she wanted DPA to still assign their own lawyers on the case. She insisted. She insisted. She explained to me that the reason we got Falana was not because we didn't want you or something, that it was a recommendation that people said, hey, bring him in. I said, ma'am, no problem. The question is, we need to be sure our rules since you already have this lawyer. They insisted, so we joined. DPA appointed lawyers, and we draft the petition, everything. Then we appointed lawyers to follow, help in the process. They go to court with Falana. They do things to help Falana team. That's how the thing was going. But at the same time, in addition to what was going on there through the lawyers, DPA advocacy side of the case remained on. And I was now playing the role I should play in DPA cases, which is observe how the case of our member is going. Make sure things are going very well. If our members have complaints about the work of the lawyers, they come to DPA and DPA will talk to the lawyers. Find out what was going on. So that was how this case was going on, and we pursued the advocacy. The advocacy side was actually very effective because we were able to protect this woman from what we considered bullying, the pressure on social media, the castigation, the blame, the justification of a man's right to polygamy, and those things. We were able to stabilize it, help her, package her case. Her narrative became acceptable due to the effort of DPA. So that's what had been going on in this case. Of course, and eventually, we noticed that this trolling, this bickering on social media did not end when we thought it would end. It actually got worse. The Lady May had her own people, her own supporters, described as May Nation, which was just an organization of group of people, not formally structured in any form. Likewise, you and his new lady have their own supporters, but obviously, May's supporters were more overwhelming, more powerful, more influential. So the bullying was too much. It became a problem. Because from the case of divorce between the woman and you, we were now having cases for defamation and cyber stalking, and list of people, more and more people are listed in this. I said, my goodness, if we start pursuing this bullying thing, we could be in it for the next 15 years. There will always be somebody bullying you. So why not we focus on the divorce, get it off the table, and make progress? I was genuinely concerned that the bullying had turned a simple divorce case into an extremely bitter and toxic exchange that will have no end. So I became worried about it. Recently, I'll be very fast on this because this is the turning point. Recently, in July, I was contacted by May's team. She has a clique involving sisters. We even have a group where we chat. They told me about one lady called Yinka. They said that Yinka was attacking May. She was a vicious person. She's trying to destroy May with in collaboration or conspiracy with you and all that. I was reluctant to really get into this Yinka thing because I didn't know how Yinka all of a sudden, out of nowhere, became so prominent in this case that I had to be drafted in. If they were just fighting among themselves on social media, I would still be bothered about it, but at least I wouldn't be involved. So, but they insisted I will intervene. They gave me a series of information facts about Yinka, which I unfortunately believed. I assume these people were honest to me. They knew what they were talking about. So I made posts, 3 posts, critical of Yinka. But those posts, as the result of that, 24 hours after that, the pressure was intense. Yinka, who was engaged to marry Yul's brother, had the engagement broken. And May people, May supporters saw it as victory. They were jubilating, celebrating everywhere. This thing was becoming nauseating. How are you celebrating people's engagement being broken? This was too much. But the turning point was I noticed that the information given to me about Yinka were false. Therefore, my posts against her were indeed false and defamatory. I was extremely worried. I didn't want to put myself in a position where I could say something that would trigger legal liability for me. But it did not stop there. May's supporters attacked Yinka's children, attacked Yinka's employer. Yinka is a medical staff in one hospital, a chain of hospitals. Do you know that May's supporters began to send false, fake review against this hospital? You know, in America, and probably the same in UK, all these companies now, they operate based on reviews of patients. So patients give their reviews. It is a way of informing people, about this hospital. The same thing happens today. If you want to download an app on your phone, now you see reviews. If you see an app where everybody is saying that the app doesn't work, you won't download it. So these May supporters went to this hospital's online platform, began to give false reviews that are killing people, that are deadly, that just because they spite their staff, Yinka, this company I learned had to shut down its web infrastructure, which cost them millions. And all these things were due to the trolling coming from May supporters. And these guys are sitting in Oshodi in Lagos, where they're selling pure water, and they're texting and destroying a hospital in the US. Now, this hospital can actually sue us and sue May. So we said to May, these your supporters are dangerous. They're going to cause trouble for you. You got to distance yourself from your supporter. But May did not want to do that because May is also developing a brand product line. And these supporters are people she expects to be her customers. So she didn't want to say anything that will offend these people. We became so worried. We said, okay, don't worry. We can say it for you. We just need to talk to them, to redirect them from attacking you to promoting your product. I said to them, go and buy her cream, go and buy her hair product, but leave you alone. Now, I thought May was playing along with me, but May wasn't playing along with me at all. Because what happened was her supporters began to attack me with lies and fabrications, poison. It is like screaming that a restaurant has poison. Can you imagine you run a restaurant and somebody is saying that your restaurant has poison and people ate and died there? You can't keep quiet. Otherwise, you have to shut down the restaurant. So I told May, this is very dangerous on multiple levels. On the first level, it punishes us, it hurts us, and it is untrue. On a second level, if we get punished, if our organization is weakened, that would diminish our capacity to protect you. We've been able to effectively protect you against people attacking you. If we get tarnished and weakened, we will not be able to protect you effectively. On another level, I said, their activities are actually undermining your case in court. What these people are doing are causing a lot of trouble. It's creating resentment, making it difficult for you to cooperate, even on places you're supposed to cooperate, like child support and those things, timely payment of child support. People don't realize that when you go into divorce case, it doesn't matter what the judge gives you. If you don't have a cooperating opponent, a cooperating spouse, legal remedies will not be adequate because if the court orders him to pay child support and he decides to delay 2 weeks or 2 months, the court will not be able to cure that delay. So you need a cooperative thing. So we said, come back, stop the fight. And finally, these fights can expose you to liability. Even though you say it's May Nation, you are not May Nation, everybody knows that this organization is fighting for you. Everybody knows, they even adopted your name, May Nation. Everybody knows, and I know personally, I know that you are in direct communication with your leaders and you have a means of mobilizing them. So I advise you now to distance yourself from that group, otherwise you face liability. She didn't want to do that. Then we threatened to resign. If this goes on, we will have to resign because we will have a conflict situation where we are against your supporters, also against you supporters. That means we are now fighting two sides. It's conflict of interest. We can't be representing you, but fighting your supporters. So for these reasons, you got to do something. May did nothing. May allowed us being attacked by her members, supporters, some of whom are using fake accounts. But before I acted, I had to make sure not only that May was aware, but that she was somehow complicit in the process. When I saw that, I withdrew from representing her.
So let's be clear. Let's be clear on this May Nation, for instance. So May Nation is an independent social media group, but that supports Mrs. Edochie in her activities and otherwise. Am I correct?
Yes, you're right. That's correct, but there's more. Go ahead.
So, okay, you said there is more. How do you mean that there is more?
There is more. You see, Daniel, every system in this world, there's a reason they require organizations to be registered. There's a reason every system does so. Because they want to know who to hold responsible if certain things happen. So these people came in, they are not registered, but we knew the individual players there. We knew the leaders there. And May speaks to them. So you have these leaders, you have bloggers supporting her. So if they want to attack you now, if they don't like you, they pass information to the leaders pass information to the bloggers, and the bloggers share information. Before you know it, 500,000 people will be attacking you. Half of them will be using fake accounts to attack you. Now, if you ask those 500 people who sent you to attack anybody, they will not mention me because they didn't see me. It trickled down. It is a very effective way to bypass responsibility. So I said to me, the law is not stupid. The law is not stupid. Every standard scrutiny will lead these activities to you. I even gave her the analogy of somebody who is holding stolen property. You may not be the thief, but if they find you with stolen property, the law will expect that you and the thief communicated, that you and the thief know each other. So I said, these people you call May Nation, you say they are unknown, they are just faceless individuals, they are fighting for you. You are benefiting from what they are doing. Even if you don't control them directly, can you please clarify your position so you will not be blamed for the activities?
So
and there were two
did
ways.
May ever issue a public statement denying their activities?
Never.
Did she issue a public statement cautioning them against cyber trolls, cyberbullying?
Never.
Okay, what is the numerical strength of this May Nation?
They are probably up to 800,000 to a million. But the thing is that they are so effectively organized in viciousness. Now, let me tell you something. Not only did she not caution them or disclaim them, she actually praised them. She acknowledged them.
Publicly.
She called them her online family, who are her pillar of support. She admitted that she uses them, that they attack people who are insensitive to her cause.
So apart from you, who else have this May Nation attacked?
They attacked you, they attacked Judy, they attacked the children of Judy and you. Can you imagine how vicious these people are? They attacked 2-month-old baby. These people are so vicious. They are the worst troll group in the world. I'm expecting government to regulate them, to step in there and see what these people are doing. They attack babies. They accuse the children of being autistic. You know what? They even created fake social media accounts in the name of you, Judy, and their child, alleging that the child was autistic. The most popular handle they use on social media to mobilize is called Judy Obasi Yul Autism. Judy is the name of Yul's lady. Obasi was the name of her former husband. She's divorced. So Obasi Yul. And then autism is based on allusion to the rumored accusation that the child was autistic. The children are not autistic, so it is defamatory. But even if they were autistic, it's against the law to use the disability of a person to mock the person. These people are doing this. May is aware they are doing this. May enjoys them doing this.
And she didn't caution them?
Never. She never cautioned them. Why wouldn't May caution them? Because May enjoys it. So now you are representing somebody who is dragging you into criminality. How can I be representing you? And
now, what about the sorry, Miss Ugwuonye, what about this Miss Yinka Tyson? How I'm still trying to get my head around how she got dragged into this whole imbroglio.
It's unfortunate. Yinka Tyson has nothing to do with this at all, except that she annoyed me.
How?
And that is the problem. Okay.
How?
In February this year, May's Instagram account had a problem. She called me first, but I couldn't help her. I don't know IT. So she called Link. Link is the elder brother of you, one of the few family members that was supporting her. The only family member supporting her from immediate Edochie family. Called Link and said, I have a problem. Link said, I have a friend I can recommend you to, because she helped me when I had a similar problem. Because Link had a similar problem. That was actually why May called him. That you had this problem before, now I'm having it. How did you solve it? Link said, I will refer you to a friend. So he sent the phone number of Yinka to May and told May, call Yinka. So he described Yinka as a friend. Okay, May called Yinka. And in the course of their conversation, based on what I discovered, May tried to blame her Instagram problem on you, suggesting that you was hacking her Instagram account. Yinka did not buy that. Yinka said, oh, no. Yul is not responsible for this. This probably shocked May, because for the past 2 years, May has been able to blame virtually everything on Yul. And people will always say, oh, yes, that monster, he must be the one doing it. For the first time, somebody told me, no, it's not you. That made May circumspect towards Yinka. So they continued to talk. They finished the first discussion. When they finished the first discussion, Yinka made a mistake. You can understand. She sent to me a picture of her, Yinka, and Link, where she was sitting on Link's lap. So because May did not know that Link and Yinka were engaged, Link only told me a friend. So immediately that happened, May became, I'm assuming this, May became very suspicious of Yinka. Oh, so you guys are not telling me the truth? You told me it was a friend, and now it's a fiancé. And if she's a fiancé, no wonder why she defended you. Maybe she's working with you through this. So she became cold towards Yinka. Yinka was trying to maintain the friendship and communication. She was avoiding Yinka. Yinka detected there was coldness from May. Yinka kept quiet. So eventually, sometime in June, Yinka complimented on social media post. She made a comment complimenting the child of Judy. That annoyed. Okay, well, what she saw when that happened was shortly after that, a drone of May supporters began to attack her for paying compliment to Judy's child. So Yinka suspected that May instigated this attack. So it caused Yinka to make a comment which was carried by Linda Keji. The attack intensified. It became so worse. So May, Yinka then called May, sent May a WhatsApp message and said, I know you are responsible for this. You bitch, I'm going to block you. She blocked me. It was done between the two of them. Nobody knew. It was a personal fight. In less than an hour after she sent me that message, Yinka began to receive hundreds of text messages saying to her, you are the bitch, you are the bitch, you are the bitch. Obviously, it indicates that you may have spoken to some people, complained to some people, and that this reaction against Yinka was triggered by me. So, but not only that, May, through the sister and her key supporters, contacted me. This was when I got involved. They said that Yinka is this. I didn't understand, how did Yinka come into this picture? How did we move from divorce of Yul and May to Yinka? So they gave me a lot of information. I then assumed, based on what they told me, that Yinka was working for Yul against May, and that was why I made those posts. So it was a personal fight, which they carried too far, to the point of involving me, to the point of getting me to participate in something that was essentially a bullying activity. So I had to pull back. But in pulling back, I did not just do what I could have done. I could have said, ma'am, you misled me. Your people misled me. I'm out of this case. I could have done that. Indeed, May had made mistakes. So many reasons as far back as last December. The lawyers, we had reason to pull out. DPA had reason to pull out. But remember, if DPA pulls out, there are two layers of it. When DPA pulls out, that means we are no longer able to guarantee the services of the lawyers because we are paying the lawyers. We're paying them. So if we pull out, ultimately it will affect the lawyer's role down the line. So, but I persuaded everybody. I said, no. This case is important to us. Remember, that is not just about this woman. This case, we're going to use it to fight for the rights of all women in Africa. So I want her to succeed. So let us push on. So, but with this recent development, I had no choice than to withdraw. And guess what, Elombah? If they had allowed me to go peacefully, nobody will hear anything.
All right. these activities, do you think it falls under the Nigerian Cybercrimes Prevention Act 2015, Nigeria's main legislation dealing with online offenses? While the word trolling was not expressly used in that act, several provisions of that act cover conduct that falls within online trolling, cyberbullying, or online harassment. Section 24, cyber-stalking offensive messages, criminalizes knowingly sending a message or other matter that is false, but for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, insult, injury, criminal intimidation, enmity, hatred, ill will, or needless anxiety. Section 25, cyber stalking, related to harassment, specifically targets harassment through online or electronic communications, criminalizes offenses, messages that can cause fear, violence, harm, covers persistent trolling and harassment campaigns, penalty up to 10 years imprisonment. Would you classify what Main Nation is doing as falling under Section 24 and 25 of Nigeria Cybercrimes Prohibition and Prevention Act of 2015?
Without a doubt, in the extreme form of these offenses. But I want to say something for the record. This trolling is occurring on both sides. People in support of Judy and you are trolling me. In fact, we even initiated a lawsuit against some of them. We initiated several police petitions against them. But to tell you the truth, Main Nation has violated this law, these sections you mentioned now, 1 million times. I'm not exaggerating. These people are so vicious. So let us say, if this is a rough range, you supporters have violated this law 1 million times. Male supporters have violated this law 2 million times.
So why haven't Nigerian law enforcement agencies intervened? Because I don't understand, this is very high profile online campaigns on both sides.
It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. You know what happens, like in most other aspects of the law, you have to have a complainant who has the resources to mobilize the police. That was why we were able to mobilize the police in one of the instances, and somebody trolling me was arrested, even though the case was not prosecuted, but he was arrested through our effort.
All right, let's move on. Yeah. Okay. In my investigation of this topic, I discovered allegations that you disclosed Mrs. Yul-Edochie's confidential information. Will you address that allegation as well?
Oh, yes, of course. I'll be very glad to do that. As you know, clients' confidences are very important, very central to any professional engagement, not just for lawyers, for doctors, for priests. For people to be able to trust you, they have to be sure that their confidences will be maintained. And then they need to trust you to be able to tell you the truth, because without the truth from them, you will not be able to help them. So whichever way you look at it, confidentiality is the core rule in any professional engagement, particularly engagement involving lawyers. So, however, as you know, there are exceptions to these rules. And one exception we have faced in May's 10 was the relentless campaign of smear, calculated campaign of smear to destroy us. They violated these two sections of Nigerian criminal law against us. It was relentless. Attack me, attack my family, attack my DPA members, attack my staff, attack my... It was incredible, relentless, and I won me. So that was what triggered the need to explain When I told them to stop trolling, May's supporters came and said it was because you bribed me. That the reason I wanted trolling to stop, the bullying to stop, the cyber stalking to stop, was because I was bribed. Some even said that Yu's woman, Judith, slept with me. This was incredible. You know how damaging this is. That's why I compared it to shouting that a restaurant has poison in their food. So what we did was to explain our decisions. I had to explain why I resigned. I had to explain those things. And it is absolutely within the standard process and standard rule to clarify these things. And I warned her so many times. But even at that, we did not really violate her confidences. What happened was that we expressed critical opinion of her. We said things she didn't like to be said about her. It's not confidential opinion, confidential information to say that you are bullying people. Of course, you are bullying people on social media. I interpreted your conduct as bullying. How is that confidential? It's not. I interpreted.
So is there a particular confidential information that you disclose that you feel is unethical?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And that is one thing nobody can point at. So, but you know, in the Nigerian parlance, or the way the people see these things, any negative opinion of your client is viewed as breaching her confidential information. No, there is nothing confidential that was breached. What we said were things already in public domain. We just explained it as the cause of our decision.
Now, I understand you have already given us how you got involved in this divorce proceeding between the Edochies. Did you foresee that matter will take this turn, or were you forewarned that this type of, that you are dabbling into a case that portends legal risks to you and your reputation?
Yes, I had warnings and misgivings, but I still did not anticipate the intensity of this problem. Many people warn, it is a standard experience that when DPA comes out to represent a woman, somebody is going to say, accuse us. They say I was breaking families. Some said I was trying to impose an American system in Nigeria. These warnings are there. So on this particular case, people kept telling me, no, don't defend this woman. She's this, she's that. I said, no, we gotta defend her. So recently, when they began to attack me, many people, friends, said, oh, don't say anything, keep quiet, just ignore them. I ignored them for a month. Ignoring them did not achieve peace. Ignoring them did not stop anything. Instead, it intensified. They put us under extraordinary pressure. Clients, members of DPA became worried. People were having cases, became worried. So we are crying. If you see my inbox today, it's filled with concerns. So that was what led to explanation. So to present the correct fact, to to disabuse the minds of people being misled by these extraordinary forces. Let me tell you something. Do you know that the most vicious Facebook and Instagram account used by May Nation is a fake account?
Okay, so
fake account. So I had to respond.
Okay, so obviously you are no longer representing May in her legal proceedings with you. So how are you feeling about this this falling out between you and your former client?
I have never had any communication directly or indirectly with you, and I would not try to. I have no idea how he feels.
Has you made any public comments on this altercation?
I wouldn't know. I have no knowledge. of any public comment, but that doesn't mean he hasn't made any. I just haven't seen any. My attention has not been drawn to it. So I don't know what Yul feels or how he feels about the situation. But I can tell you that this has been this must be a stressful experience for everybody.
All right. I also understand that Mrs. Edochie has threatened to file a lawsuit against you. What do you have to say to that?
Well, there had always been, last week, they began to rumor that she had sued me. It was even published that she had sued me. But one lawyer wrote me a letter. And in that letter, she said a whole lot of false things. I responded to that letter. It's a standard, cease and desist. She said I defamed her client and I bullied me. I was expecting her to identify anything I said that was defamatory. She didn't say so. However, she said a whole lot of things, attacking my license, calling me a criminal, and all those things. But that's okay if she had just sent the letter to me. Instead, May posted that letter on her wall. And it was, in the first day, it had comments of 4,000 people. The letter was actually an attempt to defame me and destroy me. But May did not want to do it herself directly. So she wanted it, she thought, and this is my experience with May. She always thinks she could bypass the law. She doesn't know how law works. She thought that if she was not the one that wrote the defamatory statement, that she wouldn't be liable. She didn't know that disseminating a defamatory statement exposes one to liability. So this lawyer, relatively unknown, doesn't have following in the social media, wrote this letter. The letter was actually not for me, really. The letter was for publication to punish Emeka Ugwuonye, punish him, render his business dead, cause people to leave DPA. That was the purpose. So when I saw this publication, I was shocked. It occurred to me to sue her immediately, especially given the devastating impact of that letter. But I said, no, I don't want to do this. I really wish this woman can deal with her problem. I hate to see how a divorce case with your husband has now degenerated into this all-out war. Those who are threatening, they wrote a similar letter on Yinka. May published it as part 2. So what May wanted to do is to attack me, attack Yinka on her social media, pretending she was submitting a lawyer's note. So now you ask the question, will she go ahead with the lawsuit? I pray she goes ahead with the lawsuit.
Okay.
Because
in this regard, I'm looking at the comments people are making online on our channel. So let me just take one of them with regards to these threats to sue you. One person said, whether you have acted ethically in going online to speak about a former client the way you did.
I can use ChatGPT to answer that.
Oh,
you can enable ChatGPT on your...
What's wrong? So someone said whether you have acted ethically in saying negative things about a former client online. So why haven't you sued them if you believe they have acted wrongfully against you, instead of going to online media to speak negatively about a former client?
A very good question. I would tell you that nobody likes to quarrel with his client in the open. That is our nightmare. But you have to understand what happened. She posted this on her wall, attracting instant hostility, extreme hostility. People are threatening to beat me up or to kill me when I visit Nigeria. She incited violence towards me on her platform. So now, how can anybody say, wait, go and sue her when you get to Nigeria? All I did was to debunk her allegations. It is perfectly ethical. I can't imagine the alternative. I couldn't have just kept quiet. When you are calling me a criminal, no reference to any criminal conviction, no, you know what? Let me tell you something, Daniel. If you look at my record, I saw my background check recently. I was so surprised how clean it was. I don't even have a ticket violation in a civilized place. I don't even owe anybody anything. If you see my report, you'll be very shocked. But these people are ascribing to me criminality, fraud. Where is the fraud? Even when they say you are disbarred, they don't understand that disbarment is a judgment of a court. You need to see the allegations, you need to see the sanctions, you need to see the findings, you need to see the conditions for reinstatement is there. So it is incredible. Somebody says something negative. Obviously, if my client says I'm a criminal, that I took bribe, that's why I resigned from her case, I'm going to say, no, I didn't take bribe, it's a lie. This person is a liar and she had lied before. That is not something unethical. It is unpleasant. I agree with the person that wrote it. It's absolutely unpleasant. It pained me so much. I really agonized over it and I was extremely reluctant. I wish you knew how hard I tried to avoid this. All these people talking, they didn't know my communications with them, what I was sending to me, messages I was having with me. I don't want this. Please, please, please stop this. I don't want this. Stop this. I said, this is dangerous. This is pushing us in the wrong direction. Please don't let me have to explain myself. She didn't care because she believes she has an army that can destroy anybody. And yes, that army has destroyed quite a lot of people. I just couldn't take it. I just couldn't accept it. Maybe it is because I knew them more than other people. I knew how they work. I know her involvement in their operations. I know she's not silent, as people think. I know she's mobilizing them in very subtle way, and that is actually very dangerous. So when it happened, it wasn't just those people that annoyed me. It is the fact that she thought she could use that same tactics on me. That's what caused me to begin to respond. And as I said, it's unfortunate, but if we have to do this again, I don't know how to do it differently. There's no way I'll keep quiet and you are lying against me, destroying me every minute, and you expect me to say, oh, she's my client or she was my client, let me keep quiet. No. The damage was done.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ugwuonye. We are coming to the end of this interview, but we wouldn't end without looking at the lessons learned on both sides. I'm reading something on Diaspora Digital Media about how this dispute serves as a cautionary tale for public figures navigating the digital age. And they said while online fan bases can be a powerful tool for advocacy and support, they are also unpredictable and often uncontrollable. The Mary Yul-Edochie case demonstrates how the line between a passionate support system and the litigation vulnerable online mob can quickly blur, turning a PR battle into a complicated legal quagmire. Would you agree with this? Would you agree with this assessment?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Elombah. That is correct. And that is the big lesson we learned. Okay. Number one lesson was to understand the consequences of trying to mix advocacy with legal cases. We initially just wanted to teach Nigerians that polygamy is not a good idea, that polygamy violates rights of women, rights to equality. That was our goal. And assuming we had stayed on that, probably we won't have this sort of difficulties. But we got into a legal scenario where you begin to navigate between the bounds of advocacy and the bounds of court rules and procedures. We became sensitive. So it is also a lesson that there's a limit to what you can do on social media. It can unleash forces beyond your control. I am sure that May Nation is actually, to some extent, beyond the control of May. You have people there with their own selfish interests, like the bloggers who want to monetize. And whenever they drop this controversy, it gets them traffic. Those ones don't want to stop. Indeed, they have fabricated lies. But the question is, celebrities, and I have said it, celebrities who use support social media trolls must understand they are facing serious liabilities. And professionals who work for them must also understand that they could be dragged into it. We were dragged into Yinka problem. The hospital she worked for could have sued us. Absolutely. So, and they could have sued me. So, celebrities are not immune based on the fact that it was their fans. The law expects celebrities to either issue cautionary statements warning members or disclaim them. Just say, no, I don't support this thing. For instance, let me give you an example. Everybody knew that Yul-Edochie did not kill their first son. Their first son died. They knew that. But many supporters will come out and say that Yul's girlfriend, Judy, or second wife, as he likes to refer to her, that he killed the boy and that Yul killed the boy. Now, men knew the truth. Men never issued a comment, just caution. No, please don't go there. What sort of person is this?
All right. We thank you.
You know, that's crazy.
Yeah, we thank you very much. It's the culture of tradition of DDM to allow people who join the Zoom if they want to ask a question. So if there is, we have 3 guests who are here. If you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand while waiting to see whether you have any question to our guests. I learned you are writing a book that you told me you are writing a book about some of your experiences, because if there is someone who has actually, Nigeria has happened to you. Nigeria has happened to you in several ways. In the house of DSS, in the house of EFCC, now Attorney General, in the house of Nigeria media, social media, in the house of the Nigeria Bar Association, Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Council, Judiciary, Appeal Court, Police, Army, everything, even the prison, I've dealt with you.
Indeed,
so is the book going to address some of these issues?
fundamentally. Chapter 13 of the book deals with my experience in prison, and it has about 80 pages, that chapter. So I have to cut it down. The book was 600 pages, Daniel. So I had to cut this book down so it would be readable. Okay, everything happened to me, as you rightly realized. Everything that could possibly happen to a person happened to a person. You know what? My brother, who is a psychiatrist.
Sorry, we can get back to that. Josiah, what's your question? We can get back to your book, Mr. Ugwuonye, sorry. Yes. Josiah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akin, and everyone. Enjoyed this program so much. But just from your last statement, you said that polygamy violates women's rights. So I need you to elaborate more on this if time permits, because I know that I've seen there are families where a man has up to 3 wives and they are living happily, even at death. Property during his will, property, everything is shared evenly, and there's no cause for alarm and everything. So I don't know why you said that polygamy violates women's rights. Can you elaborate more?
I'll be very glad to. I'll be very glad. That's a good question. You know, first, let me admit that on any ideological issue or philosophical issue, you will have divisions. People will be divided. If we talk of Christianity, there are people who don't agree. Islam, there are people who don't agree. So I respect the view of those who think that polygamy is good. But if we come in the modern times, in the context of equality of rights, in the context of treating human beings equal under the law, you will understand that any system that gives one right to an individual, to a spouse, and deny the other spouse that right is not fair. The fact that a woman is not permitted to also have multiple spouses in itself creates an abnormality in the context of rights. So that is basic. Then, if you also look at all the things that have changed in the world, where women now are equally educated, equally empowered economically. Do you understand it? For instance, why would the husband of Ngozi Wala have a second wife? Would you think it's sensible? So the issue is that with women empowerment going on, you cannot expect women to tolerate it. Then also we come to the natural observations. And the natural observations, friend is not happy that you have another girlfriend. Even your girlfriend feels threatened if you have a second girlfriend. If that could be the case, how would a wife feel? What about the issues of privacy? You and your wife want to sit down and talk in a way without a third party. Polygamy interjects a third party into it. So it is a problem. However, I recall that in this interview, I spoke about forced polygamy because I have come to realize that if the parties have equal bargaining rights and are fully informed, if they decide to go into a polygamy, that is their business. Nobody should stop them. But forced polygamy arises where one of them is objecting to it or one of them is acquiescing to it because she has no choice. We think, and we will continue in DPA to preach against forced polygamy.
All right, we thank you. So thank you, Mr. Emeka Ugwuonye. It's been very nice having this conversation for more than 1 hour now. And I'm still checking the comments on our YouTube channel. A lot of people are saying this is a one-sided interview. We should also go and interview the other party. Well, let's see how that goes. But thank you very much for coming on board on DDM tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.